order. As always, we do the land acknowledgement, which I think we've heard so many times, we've stopped paying attention to it, and it's important. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territory of the Chippewas on Tordina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship that Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. The shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past has brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Let it be. Could I have an approval of the agenda? I'll ask for your help. Thank you. Would you like to second? I'll second this. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none? Did anybody ever use that word, pecuniary interest? Maybe
I'd be not, they usually do.
Receipt of the minutes from June 11th, 2025. May I please have a motion to receive the minutes of the meeting of July 11th, 2025. Would you like to move it? Would anybody out there like to move in second? Allison. Allison, thank you, Allison. Could I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That the memorandum regarding 2022 to 2026 multi-year accessibility plan detailed update received. That's the motion on the floor, right? I have to put this on the floor.
Yes, please.
That the accessibility advisory committee comments regarding the 2022 to 2026 multi-year accessibility plan detailed update received and referred to staff consideration and further action as appropriate. Greg, are you there? Oh, you're here? Yes, Greg.
It's late.
It's not ready to start.
Yeah.
How come it says, would you like to speak? Oh, because you're our guy. So did we really have a quorum?
Yes, absolutely. We're just missing Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Restitution.
Thank you. Please.
All right, so back at our,
Sorry, we don't actually have a mover and a seconder to put it on the table. Sorry
Okay,
to interrupt.
that chair, please do that.
And we have Allison and Elaine.
Elaine.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, see, that's what I'm shut. Okay, so, great.
So back on July 11th meeting of our Accessibility Advisory Committee, it was requested that I provide a detailed breakdown of our multi-year accessibility plan, line by line, for all of the initiatives that were on there and what the status of each item is. So to date, so this is what this memo is, compiled a list of all the items. To date, 14 of the items are complete, 8 we're currently working on, and 2 will be reviewed at a later date. So we have a total of 24 initiatives that are part of the multi-year accessibility plan. There's many other ones that are listed in the plan that are continuing to do. So these are things that are always top of mind that we've always done and we will continue to do But the 24 items are specifically listed as new items in the multi-year accessibility plan. So on the memo here, I listed each line as it's written in the multi-year accessibility plan, and just a note of, so the first 14 are complete, and then there's towards the bottom there, halfway through, we're only in review of the 8 items, which include our parking, reviewing our parking policy, practice, and procedure, which we're currently working on our parking study, reviewing the snow clearing policy, practices, and procedures, as we had the windrow clearing program coming to, I believe it was a community of the whole last night for discussion. A low-cost sensor vehicle sensor program, which is part of the parking study. Accessible scooter parking and charge stations, again, part of the parking study. So parking study encompasses quite a bit here. I left the power door operators at all town facilities lacking as in review. This is something that's always ongoing, and as we find more doors or needing the access, the facilities team is brought aware, and then as annually, as we fix a door or need to fix a window or something, then the work will be done on those. So they're kind of ongoing.
Well, the staff is very aware.
Yes. Consulting firm, so there was a consulting firm procured, and I believe as part of the capital, one of the rinks is slated for update, so we're just kind of waiting on that process. The acoustics, same thing. There's a capital request for the acoustics in the, I believe, the Stark Arena at this point, and so
To approve the acoustics.
to approve the acoustics, the sound system, that sort of thing. And then the final item, which we've been working on all summer, is the review of our parks and trails to identify those barriers. So I'll provide an update a little later on that, but that is slated to be completed by the end of next year. We're hoping to get all our playgrounds done by the end of next year. And the last 2 items, so these ones are to be completed at a later date. Just because Victoria Hall is currently closed. We did have a consulting firm a few years ago, but then Victoria Hall was closed. So once we have the green light to reopen the facility, we can look at that facility. And I believe there's a capital project as well for updating Victoria Hall. And so we can see how we can make that accessible.
I think we have to decide what we want to do with it.
Well, yes, yes. So once that decision happens,
Perfect.
then we can kind of finish off the Victoria Hall items. And then we go there. And then the last one is part of our diversity, equity, inclusion strategic plan, as specifically as it relates to employee resource groups. When we are looking at a employee resource group for accessibility and inclusion, involving staff for such topics. So those are the 2 that are the only 2 that are currently on hold. Otherwise, they're like I said, the rest are complete. And I just covered the ones that we're currently working.
Thank you. Can I ask a question? Yeah, yes. I would just like to ask you, do you know how many employees we have with accessibility issues?
So to you, Madam Chair, human resources would know best. Typically, if they have a disability, they would have an accommodation plan potentially, or they would disclose that to human resources upon hire, and then any accommodation required would go through HR and then the respective supervisor.
Could you just find out if we do? I
know we do have.
There's somebody at the gym, but that's a visual. So I would just be interested to know, because we're talking about the employee resource groups. So it'd be nice to know how many of our employees might be assessed.
So we could potentially, and I have to look at our last employee engagement survey. We have one slated to come up this year. And I believe last year we did ask, I think there were 10 different questions as it relates to diversity, equity, inclusion. And I could see if disability was one of them. At that point, that we would have
Thank you.
a statistic without numbers. Again, with disability, they're typically self-identified or disclosed. If individuals don't want to
Okay.
disclose they have a disability,
So,
then they won't.
and that's something I could ask.
Yeah.
Joanne?
Well, I just had a question. It was regarding, we were talking about the acoustics accessibility and reducing sound qualities and issues and stuff. It hasn't happened to me in Aurora, but it did happen to me in Newmarket. And the funny thing was, at the pool that they were using, they actually were closed on Fridays at that time. And anyway, the day we were holding our lessons and taking Acknowledgement and everything, they decided to do an alarm check.
Oh.
And I know it doesn't always happen and stuff like that, but I think it's something to watch out for when, you know, there still could be a class available, you know, using the facility or not, if you didn't get to it yet, somebody started it early. But it was the most annoying thing I'd ever been through. And I thought to myself, for anybody with, you know, issues and for acoustics and different things, it was just unbelievable for me. But the thing was, I have very acute hearing, so.
You have acute hearing?
Acute hearing.
That must be annoying sometimes, but better that way.
But the thing is, it was really something to think about, like noise situations that affect the people from some other type of thing that just you wouldn't think about at the time, probably.
Especially if you were in the pool area.
Yeah, exactly. It rebounds off it too, so, yeah.
Our advisor has urgent comment.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd pass it on because I know it's a big problem. And I said, why did you wait till we were closed Friday? And the guys, they said they could only come today. And I said, well, then they don't get the job, do they? Somebody else gets. I'm too much that way.
Well, no. We're paying them money.
Yeah, you're paying them money,
Should be
that's it.
accommodated.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. Are there any other comments here? My internet actually just went, but I still have them. Ladies and gentlemen, is John up there?
No, try to start with 10 minutes.
Ladies on screen or ladies at the table? Does anybody have any comments on the accessibility plan? I was listening to CBC Radio House and I was listening today and what is the official name of where you work?
For the campaign?
Where you're working now?
Oh, I work at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital Foundation, so I won the fundraising side. But today they launched our campaign, Together We Dare.
There's a huge capital campaign.
Not capital.
Is it operating? Oh, research maybe.
It's just like, it's everything we already do. And then there's some new big programs and it's to expand our reach. So more partnership outside of ourselves and pushing the work we do outside of our walls, but not capital. But $100 million campaign.
Yeah, $100 million campaign. And I think that half has been committed already.
We're almost halfway there.
There for 11 years.
That's, that's fantastic. Okay, it's, I don't, the only thing that, when something is complete. So for example, the first one, enhance accessibility awareness through education and awareness campaigns. So it says that, but then can we know how that's going to be carried out?
So to you, Madam Chair, so a lot of these items that are complete are items that over the last, since I've been here 3 years and my predecessor before that, through human resources with as guest speakers, through the initiatives that we do annually, which we're going to talk about Treat Accessibly and some of the other initiatives that we do throughout the year. It's kind of they're slated with communications or DP9 calendar and things like that. They're set in like annual rotation. So, if there's something new and there's a new campaign that we want to look at or initiative, we can always look at it. But in terms of what the plan was, I guess, recommending at this point was going from nothing to something. And so that's kind of where back pre-2022, it was, what are we going to do in 2021 looking ahead? And then so since then, we've done National Day of Disability Employment in October, International Day of Persons with Disability in December, with the annual National Accessibility Week in May, Treat Accessibly again end of October. So there's many different initiatives, and then bringing in guest speakers to speak to staff periodically throughout the year as well. So that's kind of why if there's something new, it's not to say it's
So it's ongoing.
They've been complete as in we're going to do them and we've committed to doing them moving forward. If there's something new, we'll add it to the list and add it to the rotation and look at how we can recognize or educate or that sort of thing. But for the most part, the ones I mentioned are going to be regular campaigns.
Thank you.
With the second one, establish annual departmental implementation plans. So do you get to see those? Are you consulted on those? And it says includes deliverables and timelines. Is there anybody actually accountable for making sure that these things are followed through?
So through to you, Madam Chair. So that item specifically really was added into the plan as all of these items are part of the departmental plans from all the different divisions and departments. So this isn't just what the accessibility advisor, will be doing over the 3 or 4 years. This is what the organization will be doing. So each one of these items were derived. So this is more of the general line item. So this is where I would be responsible to ensuring that all of the items basically below this one item are being completed across the organization. For example, the next one, compliance, this is with me, with specifically training, but I'm working with human resources as we look at a new learning management software and transfer to that process to ensure that staff are continuing to be trained as per the legislation as we go over the new software. So it's really a combination of that. And again, the accessibility plan for municipal elections, that was completed back in 2023, but we will be completing a new one next year. This is really done in collaboration with the clerk's office as they are responsible for the elections, but I will be participating and ensuring that we do have all our sites are accessible.
I was going to ask you because
so I would be
it
involved.
used to be that some of our sites were not accessible. People would get there.
Typically, the older age retirement homes, the senior residents, schools, the senior center here. We typically will pick buildings that are by default accessible. The locations and the work that's being done and some of the other challenges we had last year actually removed a couple of locations just because of inaccessibility or work construction being done and things like that. So this coming year in 2026, we'll be looking at all of those same sites again and making sure everything's still good. So that's the plan. That's that.
Thank you.
And then in 2027 will be that review that I will be producing as part of the AOTA. So once the elections are complete, I'll provide a review early in 27, which would be part of the next cycle of multi-year accessibility plan.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question? Sure. When you're going around town and dealing with all the older buildings, and I appreciate them being older buildings and everything else, but there are sometimes things that need to be done. Like, to me, the medical building, for instance, on Holland View, It's completely medical. They had an administrative office in it and they took it out. But at the front door, they have parking all around the building. At the front door, they've got 2 parking spaces. And at the back door, they have no parking spaces. They have 1 ramp at the far end of the sidewalk. And at each end of the sidewalk, they have at least 6 to 9 inches of cement edging. And for somebody like I ended up parking down further, and a man rushed over to help me get up that 9 inches to hang on, and there's nothing to hang on to. And the back door, and for a long time, like there was a handicap parking on one end and a ramp, and it was reserved for a doctor in there that was in a wheelchair. And now they've moved it halfway down the lineup, and it's still the space is still there, and the ramp's there. And that's the only ramp on all 4 corners of the building, except for at the very front and that one little corner. So if you have any other things to go to, or you're coming from the other ends, or in the place is just surrounded by parking lots. And I don't see, can we ever make a request that they cut back that cement? Because it's not blocking a parking space, it's just why can't it be ramped down at the end?
When we planned that, or when they brought when they were applying for their building permit, that would have been time when we should have said, okay, we only have to have 2 spots.
I know it's difficult,
But we could, we could at least lobby for.
Yeah.
And we should have been aware of the situation and lobbied for, what you're speaking of. Maybe we couldn't get an extra space. I got them once to change the parking from one side of a driveway to the other, because it just was gonna be really bad for people to try and cross, and that's a partly medical building too, in the south end, but is there anything we can do after the fact?
Through you, Madam Chair, short answer, no. A lot of these buildings that you bring up are older buildings, so they need
This one's
to.
unfortunately a new building, and we didn't catch it, yeah.
It's not that old.
So at the site plan stage comes, I would comment on it. We have committed, and so I have committed to all every property that comes across my desk. I always recommend 1 additional parking space above and beyond the minimum AOTA standard.
That's
So that-
how many cars park in that parking lot, because it's really a lot, especially on one end, down towards the restaurant. There's a tremendous amount, and when the administration office was there, I don't tell people that I'm on this committee. I just went in and said, is there any chance, because they see me with my cane, I said, is there any chance that you can do something about, putting the back door on a ramp, because there's nothing there at the back door, just the front door, and they even had to put that in. So,
I'll have a look at it.
What's the location?
Holland Trail, what's the street? So the
well, the
last
first Shoppers is on Bayview, and then there's there's a little plaza and then a little restaurant there.
There's
And
a
then past the restaurant is where the medical building's on the next corner. What's the name of that street? I just drive. Yes, where the blood lab is, and the blood lab's at that back, near the back door too.
Yeah.
And there's no handicap parking out there, and as I say, there was only the one for the doctor, and they moved it down about 3/4 of the way down on the side. And so there's none at the back, none at the sides, and there's only 2 at the front.
I'm going to let you have a look at that building, and then I can.
No, it's not
No,
that.
it's not, but it's been around for quite a while.
Considered old.
So anything before 2014 would not.
Do you have
I know the property now. I've pulled it up.
Does it say how old
How
it
did
is?
you pull it up?
Doesn't say the
Not
age.
pulling up the actual.
And
I've been going to it for a
do
few
you have
years.
the address? How did you key into it?
I just Google Maps right through the description. It's Aurora Medical.
I was just there. I'm sorry,
I
the
go
meeting
there, I
wasn't
go-
2 weeks
I
ago.
go there, I did bring it up once before, and I said, is there anything we can do at that time? He said, no. But I couldn't see the point, of just really, and this young man, he just came steaming across the parking lot, saw me going up, trying to get up, and
Isn't that great?
I know, it's very nice. But the thing is, it's just, you know, why can't people get up when they're,
I'm
you know,
surprised they,
no
no
one
one
else,
else.
if you can't get up, what do you do? 6 of you line up behind one another, because you can't get up?
There's some lab works there. There's a lot of people coming in and out.
Oh,
I'm
there
sure
is.
there's a lot.
They have
that are just
lineups in the hall.
I know, and out the street.
Yeah.
I've been in that one.
Even if they put if they're gonna leave it, even if they put a handle on the wall, so that you can easily hang onto it and pull up.
Absolutely, and I think that the owner of that, or the property manager, shouldn't have a big problem with something like that. There's a lawsuit.
Well, after somebody falls and guns themselves or something.
There's no year I can find on their website, anywhere. But I've been around for 14 years now in town, and I know that building's been around for quite a while, so. Again, it's well before my time. At site plan phase is where I will comment on accessibility, whether they need, for example, this couple days ago, I saw another one came across my desk. They were adding, it was Del Manor over there. They were adding an additional 20 parking spaces, and they were not increasing a barrier-free spot. And with the new addition of the 20 spaces pushes them to require an additional space. So just then, they were just looking to expand their parking lot, but that was one of the items that we fixed. But because of the nature of that, it had nothing to do with, anything else in the building, so we can't really comment on the rest of the building. They were just applying for parking lot extension to add 20 spaces. And so I said, based on that, we've now increased by 0.2 as a percentage, so therefore we're now needing to
It's
get to
the
6
same thing
instead
at
of
the senior
5.
center, there's one parking lot right next to before you go in the door, there's more than one, lots of them. But right beside it is a ramp situation that you can go up and get in, get out of your car, anybody from the parking lot can go up that ramp or the one at the door. But today, and it's happened many, many times, somebody parks on that ramp. And that's not a.
On the ramp?
They park, well, it's
Like in
on the
front of
ramp,
it.
in front of it.
Okay, gotcha.
And it is space, but it's a space that really belongs to that. And they should have probably made it look like 2 spaces instead of 1.
Well,
But,
supposed,
yeah,
bylaw does do chicken.
Through you, Madam Chair, I was gonna talk about it a little bit later in this meeting. The whole parking lot at the front of the town hall and the senior center will be totally redone. The consultant is currently working on it. And that's where all the pink, can see all the pink spray paints all over it. So they're already starting to work on the parking lot to figure out the work that's needed. So basically everything from the town hall building into all that walkway in the front with the community reflection space by the big tree that's out there right now. We're looking at the flagpoles, fixing those. We're looking at the EV charging stations, all the barrier-free spots along town hall, and then along the senior center wall. And then can we increase parking and what can be done about that in between basically the 2 buildings? So it'll be from the side ramp that goes up. So it'll be starting at the town hall side all the way down. So it's this whole lot that will be.
Wednesday at 2:00 choir starts and we'd all arrive about 1:30 trying to find a spot. And I found one today, the one that you park up sideways by the pole. But the thing is almost impossible. And then they also book lectures in the hall, and the other hall beside it. And there's so many people coming in and out there. I mean, there's like 1,700 people now that are members of the senior center. I think is
Well, and sorry to interrupt you, but it makes me angry because we have a standard. But if we have a senior center, it would make sense that the standard is different for a senior center.
more accommodating.
Madam Chair, Allison has a question.
Oh, Allison, thank you very much.
It was more just a comment and a reflection that what's a challenge when we have these conversations is the difference between where the town has control over a space that belongs to them, where we can go above and beyond because it is like our senior center and we know the use of it. So the people designing it and caring about it are going to go the extra mile versus the medical building where there's the disconnect between what's happening in the space and the builders and what we see, and that they don't have to do what we ask, right? So if as long as they do AODA minimum, check, we can give them all the advice they want. They don't have to do it. And the fact that there's also really a lack of enforcement on the part of the folks who oversee the AODA. They're more focused. They're going to get their big numbers by reviewing municipalities and hospitals and ministry buildings versus they've said candidly that they don't check in on private businesses. So unless residents feel compelled and have time and capacity to complain either to the building owners and users or the ministry that oversees AODA, we can just go in circles at the table because we can't really control it, right? But
Thank you.
we'll
That's,
find that with all town spaces that are not owned by the town. We're gonna just find that everywhere, right? Every small business, every restaurant, every plaza, and the owners of the plaza aren't the users of the plaza. So I can go to a restaurant and say you don't have enough space, and they're not in control. Anyway, just more a commentary that if we really want to get loud, you have to get loud to either the folks overseeing the AODA, and if there's enough noise in Aurora, then they'll check things out, or trying to find the owners of those spaces and appealing, but it's difficult to make change in spaces like that. As long as they've checked the bare minimum, they're unlikely to change. And we will require kind citizens who help in a moment of inaccessibility.
So what do you think about this? What if we, as Aurora's Accessibility Advisory Committee, wrote a letter to, does the AODA actually have an office, or is it part of a, yes?
It's the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility.
Okay, if we wrote a letter and we copied all of the accessibility advisory committees, like staff would do, right? Like all of them, because everybody, I think every municipality, I thought that they were required under law to have an accessibility advisory committee. They are. So if we copied every municipality with just our little letter, and, you know, because certainly places like senior centers and medical centers and, what do you think, Allison? Maybe theaters? I mean,
What I've learned, and Greg will know the moment I learn this, is we really need legislation to change so that that branch of government, that office, is not required to sort of police, if you will, small businesses. It's not under their legislation. They just don't have to do it the way we expect them to. So, you know, whether they're compliant or not, they're self-reporting, and it's just a real disconnect, right? They built the AODA, but then the legislation to enforce doesn't really match a user experience. So,
but
yes,
if
we can write the letter, but it's above that. It's changing the legislation on how someone can file a complaint and the steps that would be taken to remedy it. So essentially right now, if I go to a small business in Aurora, the expectation of that office is that I, as a customer, will bring the issue forward because I have the time and space and capacity to do so. And isn't that owner going to say, oh, great, thank you for sharing, and here's how I'm going to fix it? But that doesn't actually happen in real life. So it's the legislation that has to change, but I don't.
it must be exceedingly frustrating for you, and
I think my point is, at this table,
Yeah,
important to recognize what we can do at this table and what is truly out of our control, that we can sort of keep going on it, like
For new
keep
buildings, though.
revisiting. We'll keep revisiting. Yeah, new buildings. I think the other step that
Right.
citizens can
That
take
makes
that I
sense.
don't think happens at this table is, if we want our recommendations to be heard, it's really appealing for the end business to understand why we want things, and then they need to like get the builder to change their view, right? If a builder's just going to do the minimum, hotels I think are a good example for me that
Right.
I've seen that Greg has brought forward, is if the hotel chain that wants the building isn't compelled to really do their very best, they're not going to give the orders to their builders to make those changes. So if the builders are the ones that see our recommendations, but they've done the minimum, they don't. It's just this complete disconnect in the system, which I don't have the answers to. I'm just recognizing why we go around and round and round, and then are shocked when our recommendations are ignored, but the right people don't see them.
okay, I'm gonna revise my suggestion then. If, as you said, we have to put pressure, if they don't hear from the public, the AOD, if they don't hear from the public, then for sure nothing is gonna happen.
Yeah,
But if we can, do a letter and send it out to all of the accessibility advisory committees, and also put it in how somebody can make a complaint to the ministry. I mean, to me, has a possibility at least of putting pressure at it would be the provincial level, yes, at the provincial level. Yes, I mean, for sure, the small stores are not going, I mean, the places we would have to go after would be shopping centers and places that have a lot of people coming, and places that like medical centers. Because the small, they didn't even put ramps, like, I don't think they put ramps on some of the older buildings on Yonge Street. You know, ramp, on Yonge, because Home Depot or somebody was offering to do the ramps, but
It would be encroaching on the sidewalk, and impeding on walkways and or the path of travel, which is part of the challenge with just the layout of Yonge Street itself and
Okay.
the old heritage of our buildings. Shy of lifting all the
No,
buildings and leveling them and getting them lower. Again, it's a challenge, as Allison mentioned. And so twice a year, the Ontario Network of Accessibility Professionals, ONAP, which I am part of, get together and meet, and we invite the province back, and Elaine and Allison were both there in May, when the province also attended to kind of speak on their direction beyond 2025. And so to Allison's point, they are not looking at a legislative change. They want businesses, they want education, they want organizations and agencies to understand the importance of accessibility, and that is how they want to move forward past 2025. They don't want to look at more standard. And as Allison mentioned, sometimes it's the standards that are required to at least get, or said building, we ensure that for an older retirement home, or anywhere, the senior center, medical buildings, things like that, maybe the standards are different. So looking at revising and updating, which are part of the 147 recommendations as the design of public spaces that were put forward. It's unfortunate that those recommendations don't seem to be going anywhere based on how the comments are being mentioned to us by the province. There is a compliance branch, and Rory Burke who's the Director of Compliance for AODA. He's the one that makes sure that the province is in compliance. So it's his team that we would be going to. By all means, we can send an email directly to them and have them look into certain organizations within town, as Allison mentioned. But if things are still not being done, we also have the Human Rights Commission of Canada that we can file a complaint. So individuals and residents can file a complaint with the Human Rights Commission. They will look into it, and they could also step in to force organizations to comply, mainly when they're refusing to comply with accommodation requests. It's hard because in a medical building, typically the owner of the building and the tenants of those buildings are different, as was mentioned. So it wouldn't necessarily be something that the tenants would have to do. It's really the owner that would have to do it, because the tenants won't be paying for it. It's the owner that would be doing it. And to have that conversation is, sometimes these owners aren't even in town. They're out of the country and beyond. So
That's why they don't do it, because there's a cost.
So from our perspective, the best that we can do is what we are doing, which is, and it's not the first time, I've done it many times. I've commented and revised my comments and third, fourth, fifth draft of a site plan until accessibility comments are commented on. And at that point, once they are commented on and we see this, and I think our last meeting, I brought one to the table of a site plan that actually did our recommendations and put an elevator in a 3-story building, which is not a requirement, but they did. So this is kind of where I'll do my best to hold it, but I also had a retirement facility say that this is considered residential and therefore the AODA does not apply, even though it is a 5-6 story tower. So we still have, again, it's education. It's, my comment was, no, you're wrong. You have to do all of this, but it's kind of that education, and that's where on the site plan side of things, I can only do so much. I see a high level site plan, but beyond that, once I'm good with that site plan, it's really, and I also mentioned it, the hotels is a great example. We hosted an event at York Region, and we had to take the closest accessible hotel for us was in Vaughan, by Vaughan Mills, even though we're at Newmarket and York Region.
Well, that's
So-
unbelievable.
And so it's not the facility, because they met the requirements of having one or two accessible units per floor. It's the amenities in that unit that are the challenge. So standard size beds instead of lower beds, lips inside the showers instead of flush shower, things like that. So it's the amenities, which is not part of the site plan process. So I don't get to see that involvement. And I'm not even sure if at any point, I think in the building permit side, you get the granular detail, but I'm not sure if bed height is one of those items. I'm really not sure.
I think I get concerned too about the level of things. I mean, I drive along Aurora Heights all the time because my house is along there. I've always sort of, I guess, chuckled to myself, but not chuckled to myself. But my kids used to go to the arena all the time. Now I think there's either 2 or 3 parking spots for the arena on the driveway that goes up to the front door. Now, that's not very sensible if somebody has to get out of there or something and get out of the wall. And this is what happens. It's the same at the hospital in Newmarket. And you park out in the parking lot, and you have to walk up to go to the front door. And the handicap parking is the same way. And it's so silly, and but it's not even being thought of.
It's poorly planned. They don't care. They're not.
If the hospital is not going to care. Oh, I know. But the thing is, when I noticed this at the arena, I was thinking, I don't know where else sort of handicap parking is, but it's on the hill. And
That's ours.
I know it is. But the thing is, there's so many little things that aren't followed through on to me. It's just too bad.
Allison?
Muted. Ali, you're muted.
You'd think I'd learn with hybrid work for 5 years how to use Zoom. I know we've deviated from the agenda item.
Yeah.
I would say my other idea, or I won't even say it's my idea. I like stealing other people's ideas when they're good ones. Greg, you'll know which county, and I don't know where it is. Is it Huron County? No. Where does Julie Sawchuk live? Their county has, and I think, Greg, you said they probably applied for a government grant, which is how they got a pocket of funding, but they are incentivizing small businesses to make themselves more accessible. So in order to gain momentum in a community and really encourage small businesses and the owners of those spaces, there's money available to help them with a project. They still have to pay something, but if you're going to get a boost from the municipality, that's surely going to incentivize you to do the work you might think isn't affordable, even if it's as simple as some automatic door buttons or attempt like a cheap-ish ramp, whatever the thing is. I think a municipality, I would love if a municipality like Aurora would take some budget and incentivize where we actually see the issues, which is small businesses. It's not our municipal buildings. It's not our, like, well, yes, it is our parks, but we're doing a lot with the spaces we own. That's happening and it's acknowledged. So that's not the pain point. The pain point is I want to go out to eat and I want to go shop and I want to go get services that everybody else does. And there is that acknowledgement on my part as a customer that I know that if I complain at a restaurant that they don't own the space, so I'm not even going to have the conversation. It's not worth my time or energy. I don't have the energy for it. I'd be doing that. I need 3 days for every day to do all my complaining and educating as a customer. So if a municipality said we want our businesses in our town to do better, there's got to be some kind of incentive or participation or partnership to do it. I believe.
No, I think you're right, and we had a grant program for people to, in the older part of town, to improve their exteriors to look more heritage, and there was hardly any uptake on it, and we just moved after about, I don't know, 10 years, we moved those funds. But it's a good idea. Is there anything from the province that you know about?
I think Aurora is too wealthy to qualify for a lot of these grants. We just have to make it a priority with the budgets we've got, is my opinion.
And my opinion is that Aurora doesn't have a lot of money to spare. We put off redoing 2 parks, and there's a lot of other things. So I don't know. We're trying to watch every penny, which is kind of strange for, as you say, wealthy community like Aurora, but we spent our money elsewhere.
That's why the gas is cheaper in the market. Because they put down, like, we checked into the first few years we were here, I've been here 54 years now. We checked into it a few years later, and they said it was because we paid more taxes than Newmarket did. Yes, sure. That's what they told us. That's the answer they gave us.
We're kind of in the middle of this.
Always different.
Our taxes are, all taxes are too many taxes, but we're right in the middle of that. Greg, do you want to say something?
Yes, so on the, through you, Madam Chair, on the grant side, every time the accessibility grants open up, we do apply, we do put projects towards it. Fleury Park is the accessible playground, the next one that we are going to be building.
Yeah.
So we did ask for $60,000, which was the maximum on that part, but we're limited in.
Did we get it?
I'm not sure if we got it back yet. It was earlier this year.
Okay.
But I do know from a grant perspective, I think there was a memo that went to committee of the whole last night about the status of our grants.
Yes,
And it was,
it doesn't specify though.
that was just, is it $2 or $3 million we've received out of a potential 3 or 4 million. So just about, I want to say like 50-50, 60-40, somewhere around that range of grants that we receive versus grants that we get denied. Every one of my grants that I've submitted over the last 3 years have not been accepted. So from an accessibility perspective, and this the story Allison is talking, it's the municipalities or the counties that are quite small, like 10,000 or less, that are getting these funding, or really large ones doing really big things. We submitted a grant for Town Park as well, and we're not successful with a full accessible playground as we see it.
Okay,
So, I mean, we try.
thank you. And they're
Everywhere we
not,
can.
they take time and they're not easy to read.
We applied for an RBC grant, which is not through the province, and that was for something, can't remember what that one was for, accessible spaces. We were denied. We applied one with Skin Dermatology Association or something. They were giving grants to provide shading structures at playgrounds and parks. We wanted to put one at Town Park. We were also denied there. So like we're looking beyond just the province as well, to see what other options are out there.
But you're right, because if you look at the stats, we have one of the highest percentages of educated people and one of the highest income groups in Ontario. I think my friend was looking at Canada. So I never thought of that. That's why we're not getting the money. Allison, if the small businesses though, they're interested in accommodating their customers. So they just don't have the time or interest to lobby the owners of their buildings?
It sounds awful, but I think the owners of the buildings they don't necessarily care. If it costs them money, if it costs them money and they've done the minimum, they're not at a loss. They're getting their rent from the small business. And as Greg mentioned, infrastructure is really important to consider, and it's not always easy to make big changes. It's not always possible. It's not as simple as throwing up a ramp. But anyway,
So
at
the very least, we could get bylaw to monitor the accessible spaces.
I
And
don't
if
know
somebody,
that that's within bylaw, is it? I don't think.
They find the
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure you-
for parking?
Yeah.
Oh,
Parking volunteers, they
Yeah,
park
you
in
don't
the-
have, I don't know what you call it, the
The
sign.
parking is the legislation, again, that's not our Aurora legislation, just the
No,
rules
but
are
we-
not enough, right?
Our bylaw officers are provincial offense officers. Maybe that's not the name, but they are legislated under the provincial policies for enforcement. So I'm sure that we could, I'll speak to bylaw, they're gonna just love me for this suggestion, but, well, we have a pretty good relationship, but I speak to them all the time.
Through you, Madam Chair, there are certain cases where bylaw do enforce. I brought up Walmart, for example, and they said, yes, we can enforce. But I know that there are many times that they actually come to me to say, we don't enforce this law, what do you recommend? So there are certain lots that they do and certain lots that they don't, even though
Not
lots.
parking lots, you're right.
They will enforce all our
Yeah,
lots,
I'm sorry.
100%. They also enforce some of I think the larger lots. There's something in there that they do enforce,
Well,
but that's just with permits.
surprise, you're right,
Yes.
but our streets,
Yes,
our senior center, like,
and that's with, if people have permits, parking in those spots or not, that's where they would monitor, but not necessarily if they don't have enough spaces or if they have a curb ramp that's not working. That's not where bylaw that's not their jurisdiction.
No,
And
but
that's
if-
where province would need to step in.
at least if we could raise awareness a little bit. It's not gonna help the problem that Allison is talking about, but if, you know, this education thing, I've been through this with idling and, you know, cars idling and all kinds of things. It doesn't have any teeth. Oh, with the, you know, draining, how you drain your swimming pools, you know, you're draining it properly because that water has chemicals in it. So, but the education thing doesn't work. This is something that I'm going to be mentioning for the budget process. We have to start giving people tickets.
I think it goes further than that, though. I think it really does come down to cost. As an owner, they have to pay for
No, but our stuff, we can only govern our municipal infrastructure. But even that, I mean, it's just so rude. I mean, I've wanted to do it many times, but it's so rude to park in a spot that's meant to be accessible. And the library, we redid the library square, we took away those accessible. I mean, we're going in the wrong direction, in my opinion. But I'll speak to bylaw. You're smiling, he knows, right? Well,
It's,
bylaw's complaint driven.
it really is, and it's, I mean, we're talking here about someone not having a permit parking in a designated barrier-free spot. But really accessibility goes, as we mentioned,
Yes.
beyond just who's parking in which spot. At the senior center, pretty much can guarantee more than 7 people required to get in there that have permits, but there's just not more than 7 spaces. The problem with that is if you're going to add barrier-free spots, we're gonna be taking away other spaces. So there is this balance as well that we need to look at is, do we need more barrier-free spaces by the front door to get disabled people into the senior center? Or do we need more parking in general in the lot itself? And therefore we revert back to going to a minimum standard so we can get in 3, 4, 5 extra spaces. So there is this
That's true.
kind of balance, and it really depends. If you have a permit, regardless of what your disability is, if you have a permit, you can park there, as long as it's valid and current. So that is where what bylaw is going to see. That is where we are going to see morally. They may disagree and think people with certain disabilities should be parking in there versus others, but we are not the ones administering those parking permits. They're doctors and you know others. So like it is this kind of balance.
No, it is, it's a.
And
Can I just say, Joanne, did you not mention that at the senior center, the ramp, people park
That's
in
the
front of the
ramp,
ramp?
yes, that we could
So
certainly.
that's not, that's silly in itself.
so
You
yeah,
want to speak to us about the ramp?
so through you, Madam Chair, so that will be fixed. I already mentioned that.
So it looks like one wide parking spot,
So
so 2 people can go into it, but
They're
they
gonna
don't
make
go
it so a car
So
can't park.
every one of the parking spaces in front of the senior center will be reverted back to a type A, type B spot with access aisles. So the current curb ramps that are there were intended to be accessed from the side. But at some point along the way, the Aurora Seniors Association lobbied for getting rid of that to add more parking
Parking.
spaces. And by doing that, those parking spaces do not meet AODA requirement. This was before my time, well before
No,
my time.
and I'm gonna tell you, in
So-
2003, when we were planning the senior center, I said to them, there's not enough parking. And we multiplied since then, and there's
Really, another thing they don't do, which, I mean, I probably shouldn't be mentioning it, but I mean, when I'm there on a Wednesday, I mean, the choir's there, so all the choir and parking, sometimes they have a lecture going on and
yes, busy.
and we've got all the things are very busy. But when I go back and I look at my book, it seems that they don't have them spread out as much as you think they could be. Like, there might be another day where there's a blank spot in the morning or something. You think some of the lectures could be put there rather than at this one time on Wednesdays at 1 to 2.
Are you there a lot?
No, I'm not. I would go for other things. I
Okay,
do.
I'll
where they
speak to
have
Andrew.
things.
Carrie is doing something else.
I do it all Wednesday afternoon, I'm there all afternoon, so. But the thing is, when we go in at before 1:30 for a 2 o'clock thing, we can't find parking.
It's a good point, I'll mention it, probably not possible, because that senior center is, a third of it was gonna be used by the town for our own income. But it's, we didn't calculate it.
We got some courses for that says that, yeah.
So, it's okay. Allison, I'm sorry that people are not more thoughtful on Karen. But, so my idea about the accessibility, about us writing a letter of all the accessibility committees is not a good one.
I don't think it's a bad one. I'm just saying what I recognize is the disconnect in the systems and I don't even think it's people don't care. I think small business owners care and are a bit powerless to make all the changes they want to make.
Okay.
And we are not talking to the building owners, so whether or not they care, I'm not sure, but I'm not convinced they do. But there's just too many disconnects in the systems we've built and the processes, and even the establishment of all these committees in a municipality was mandated by the AODA, but we're limited in what our scope is. So we do what we can, but I've been more effective in making change outside of this table, which I recognize, right? So I'm better off being loud just on my own, but I only have so much capacity.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I will when
I know you will. I know you
And
will.
I want to get paid for it, right? If I'm going to spend my time and my energy and my resources,
Yeah.
I need to start monetizing that. So anyways, that's not for this committee, but
What about,
I just think we have to recognize how the system is working and then really show up in the places and spaces and ways that do make change. And sometimes it's hard to connect those dots and see it and see who's doing what, where, and how. And I do think there's strength in numbers. And I do think
Yes.
in May at the NAW event that Greg and I were at, there were repeat ideas and there were shared frustrations. So and I think there's a shared frustration at the lack of the enforcement by the AODA, especially in small business, because that's where every resident feels the most frustration. And I say small business, but it includes issues at a medical center or any business not owned by a town. That's where I don't know anybody complaining about town buildings anywhere. But anyway, I do think, I don't know what the letter should say or who it needs to go to, but I don't think that's a bad idea. No idea is a bad idea.
and also to add, how we can do a complaint process to the AODA? Because there's probably a form to fill out.
It's above that office though. It's like, I don't, yeah.
So
Well, wherever.
Into
but
the
if we make-
legislation and then lobby to change the legislation, lobby to change what their office is responsible for.
Okay.
I had some words. Wendy, you would have been proud of me that day.
Well, I am, I'm proud of you, but you, because of what you said that day? Do you have a copy of what you said that
Oh,
day?
no, I don't have a copy.
You just did your
I had
thing.
some witnesses.
let's just say that Allison drew a crowd with the compliance officer, Rory, as she was speaking to him. And I know Elaine was there as well. And I just smiled because everything that was brought forward has been brought forward to them for the last, as long as I've been in this position. Twice a year, we bring up our concerns as municipal staff.
Yeah.
This event in May was York Region bringing on, again, Rory attended directly, as did Craig Colio, who's responsible for community outreach and education. and the assistant deputy minister also attended in virtually, but she was the one that spoke about Minu. She spoke about the direction of AODA and the education approach that they're going to take. And as Allison mentioned, and as you mentioned, cost was a big repeated factor around the table, that there wasn't enough money. In all fairness, for your building to be gold rated with the Rick Hansen Foundation of Universal Design, it's 1% more to be fully accessible. So
Yeah.
the cost at the development stage is not. It's just thinking about it when you are building your plan and wanting to start that way. That is what needs to happen. Because if you want to go back and revise everything, yes, the cost is going to be there to revise a plan. But if you start thinking accessibility and universal design before you even start putting pen to paper, then it's a 1% increase for a fully accessible for every disability designed facility, no matter what the shape, size, height, you name it, you'll have it. And that is really the difference that, you know, Rick Hansen Foundation is trying to educate on their side. Access Now, who we're partnered with, is also trying to do the same as they go into spaces and places and rate things inaccessible. As business starts to go down because of that, right? Businesses start to see, well, what do I need to try and get this business back, right? There's this whole other side of accessibility that we can leverage or businesses can leverage. If I can't come to your medical building, I will go to another medical building because I can't get in. And then people start to lose money and they start to lose clients and so on and so forth. So
hit them on the profit area.
That's one way. I mean, I had a conversation with a gentleman today about a parking lot and same conversation. The barrier-free spot was too far, and we had a conversation about this isn't our lot. This, you know, you'd have to go to the building owner and you know have a conversation. He made a similar comment. The building owners aren't even in town. What they need to do is stop paying their monthly fee to the building owner, and the building owner will be like, "Why?" And when you hit them where the pocket is, right, then they'll start to have those conversations.
Unfortunately, that's usually usually the way that we have to go.
And that's, you know, that's the comment that the gentleman made in down, you know, but this there's so many different factors, there's so many different reasons, rationales, types of buildings, who's building versus who's the tenant. You know, is it an industrial with a mezzanine, you know, one floor will build a, you know, an elevator in one of those buildings is going to be very costly because you're going to have to build potentially 14 different elevators based on, you know, the warehouse design and style. So there's so many different challenges when we look at this, but again, there are ways, and it just means we need to revise and edit and modify your plan. But this is beyond, again, the scope of this committee. This is beyond the reach of the town and town staff. This really sits with the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility to say, how else can we make our, and I mean, they've talked to the Architects Association of Canada, they've gone to engineers, they've gone to all these other associations and agencies to have these education forums and these discussions. What happens after that is up to the individual. At the end of the day, I think that the individuals around this table care a lot. And this is, I think, why we hear the same issues being arise and the passion and that sort of thing. But I can definitely vet for Allison's comment there. Rory did his best to keep the tensions down, as the province typically does. But it's something, I'm going to talk about it in a minute. The ministry is still not happy with my compliance audit. We are now back a third time. They've given me 3 days to respond, and they've given me an additional 13 questions, sorry. So this is, as we talk about, well,
Be 13.
who should the ministry be looking at? Allison, you mentioned it. There's a lot of municipalities that are currently being audited. Aurora is one of them. We're now in a 4-month process. End of April was our first audit. Because of that, we're on a compliance plan, which means we're not compliant with the AODA. I believe we are, but the ministry, because we didn't respond to them within the 3 days that they wanted, put us on a compliance plan.
Oh.
It is what it is. But I basically have to go measure a bunch of parking spots on Friday to try and meet this 2-day turnaround that they had. And I left it with my director manager as we want to bring in the province and really have a conversation rather than just submitting yet another email to say how long before they are satisfied with my responses. But lo and behold, here we are. So I will continue, I promise, as long as I am around. And Allison, I know we've had conversations. Everyone I speak to, it's the same conversation. I will try my best. I will comment. I will recommend. I will hold a plan. I've been in many conversations with developers and applicants and things like that to have those conversations face to face. I've been told people can go elsewhere. I've been told, well, if they don't like it, too bad. I've been told we are not complying. And my answer is always the same. I challenge them. I argue with them. I will clarify what they actually said to me. Then they realize what they said and they start to backpedal. Usually something gets done, but there is a give and take. And we need to kind of realize that. We can't have a parking lot full of accessible spots. And also the minimum is not enough. So we need to find a balance here. How is the building designed? Do we have, entrances way down there in unit 1 and way down there in unit 14? Do we put them here and here, or do we put them in the middle, or do we just add 2 and put them on the ends? And
Yeah.
so it really depends. And this is where the creativity and my suggestions and recommendations. And again, we've gone through the summer. A lot of the plans that I've seen have been well past their due dates. But all of the comments that we provided, the committee that has given to me, I've made sure to incorporate all of from additional parking, additional spaces, changing of locations, crossing of spaces, things like that. I've made sure to comment on our behalf. So
You have picked a very difficult job.
I learned.
I like, I love being a counselor, but it's not easy.
Impressed.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, I think, in light of your comments, Allison, but we can try and be the squeaky wheel. If you can make it easy for somebody to make a complaint, they often will do it. So let's give it a try.
Anybody can put it in the paper without their name being printed, their name's withheld.
Well, we have to send it to Lori.
I know what I'm saying.
We have to send it, but if
I
we
believe
make.
it's AOTA.
I'll put
No,
my
no,
name
no.
on that.
Okay, but
I think,
go
oh,
on the website, and if you we have to try what we can. Yes, Allison.
I was just gonna say, I need to stop talking because we could go all night, but even as the AODA set out these advisory committees, the word advisor is problematic, right? We can advise all day long and it's not enforceable advice. And to the same, like, what I was pleased with was that Aurora has an advisor of accessibility, where a lot of municipalities are putting this on the side of other staff's desk. They don't have the role as we do. So I value our role, and I hope it stays and grows and isn't advisor, because it's fruitless to have someone with the knowledge Greg has and the experience and the dedication. He can advise town staff all the live long day. They can say they've gone to the advisor and then that's the box they checked, but they don't have to take the advice because it's advice, it's not a rule.
Yeah,
So these systems and the way they've been built just put us all up to fail and be disappointed, but it's the system, it's not the people, it's not the passion. There's plenty of that to go around, but we're staying stuck in the system that doesn't make sense at many levels of government, and not just it's not just
right.
Aurora, and I would say we're probably farther ahead than many others. So we can pat ourselves on the back.
Well, okay, let's end this part of the conversation there. But
Accessibility at Ontario.ca.
but if we do it as part of our agenda, and then it can go to council, and so maybe for the next meeting, we can talk about it, just to have.
You need a letter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, letter with also how to, whether, I don't know if they'll listen, but I think we have to try.
Wendy, would it be possible?
Yes.
Wendy, I'm sorry. Would it be possible just if we come up with to write to you directly with our ideas on some?
Of course.
Okay. As opposed to just to the committee at all, if something comes up in the next day or so while we're still formulating.
Well, send it to Greg and copy me, or send it to the whole, send it to Greg and copy the committee, so that we're all in the same. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Greg, you have one more thing? Yes, we do. All those in favor of receiving this? Thank you. Everybody agrees. Great. It's yours. Okay, so we need. So we just did the update. The plan update, and now 7.2 is. Okay, the motion is that the Accessibility Advisory Committee comments regarding the Town of Aurora multi-year accessibility plan be received and referred to staff for consideration and action as appropriate. Very political, appropriate that one. But didn't we just do that? Or that's what's coming now? So we need a mover and a second. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joanne. Okay, you're on.
All right, so these two items are different. So the first, we've crossed over a lot of items, so I will skip over some of those items and briefly talk about it. But the one we just spoke about was directly to the multi-year accessibility plan, line by line, every initiative broken down. This one is basically a roundtable discussion of what we've done since our last meeting. Basically give you some updates of what's coming, and that sort of thing. So that's the difference between the two, although they look very similar, they are slightly different. So I will get started. First item, so I did comment on the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility, that they did reach out back end of April to complete an audit. I submitted that initial audit, and then at the end of June, they provided me about 4 days to respond with an additional, I think it was 13 or 15 questions. I asked for an extension because I was going on holidays, and that's when we were given a compliance plan, because I asked for an additional week. And so I submitted that on July 18th when I returned. And just this past Friday, I received yet a second follow-up. So 2 months later, they finally reviewed my second submission and provided an additional 14 or 15 questions that were due yesterday. So again, having that conversation internally, we're a little frustrated that they're asking additional questions and asking for additional examples and wanting me to go out and measure and take pictures and basically proving even more than I've already done. I thought I went above and beyond on my follow-up, but now they're asking more questions on me being above and beyond. So my response this time is yes and no, and that is all I'm giving.
It's trying to block
I,
you. You're saying,
if they ask a question and it's a yes or no question, I will respond with a yes or no.
okay, how are you gonna measure this?
They ask for the measurement, I'll give them a measurement. It is 1,447 millimeters away from the curb. They asked if it's 1,500, and I said yes, it's 1,447, period. I'm not giving them any more than that because the last time I did that, they came back
So
with
sorry.
14 additional
And
questions.
we're a municipality that's doing a good job.
So we are compliant. They took a year to question our compliance. Now here we are. Another municipality received 140 some odd follow-up questions.
Oh,
We're lucky with,
so we got
14.
a stamp up that says compliant, we got
we
it
are not
better.
yet
Oh,
according to the ministry
so you're
because
submitting
I asked for
this,
a week extension.
you know, in some, sorry, I can't say what I really would like to say, because we're being recorded. It's some person, it's some cog in the machine that's doing this. It's like that.
Correct.
Okay,
I think we all are in agreement with the same feeling. So
but having once worked for the government, but not as elected rep, it depends who's been hired for the job. And they have some strange people that they hire too.
again, this is an individual on Rory's team. We would like to have a conversation with Rory before we submit to say how much longer is this going to last. So, but in saying that, 2025 is a compliance year, so we will be submitting full compliance, regardless of this compliance plan that we're currently on. I will be submitting full compliance with the standard. I'm just waiting for the new form to be out. It should be out later this month. And once the new process is finalized by the ministry, I will be submitting our compliance. It's an online form. Apparently it takes not a lot of time. We submit yes or no for each of the standards, and that's what it is.
Have you kept track of the number of hours you've spent on this? You probably.
On this audit,
Yes,
not, but I could probably.
you should keep
easily
track.
figure it out.
You should have a record of this whole process.
On Thursday, I finally caught up from my July's submission of all the things that I was back from April and May. And all the, the training of staff and then the daily work, the site plans were delayed, things like that, because I had to deal with this audit. So I finally caught up on Thursday. I had a meeting with my manager that morning saying, I feel good, I caught up. And that night, I received, literally it was 5:00 at night. So
You
I
must
was
have.
already not, so Friday morning I came in to see this
Did you
email.
scroll
And I was basically,
or did you just wait it?
Read it.
so
Seriously, could you, because it won't take you long, to say what this process has been, the approximate number of hours?
I could probably, easily figure that out.
And with all the questions and all.
I would have to say at least 15 to 20.
But all of the extra, you've probably kept a record of all of the extra questions, well, of course.
Friday, I spent all day driving around town square, taking pictures, measurements, and then going to the Aurora Community Center and taking more measurements.
Just make sure that it's all documented. Thank you.
So that's that. But yes, at this point, nothing has changed since our last 2023
Okay.
compliance. We've actually gone far exceeded the AODA standard with our initiatives. And as Allison said, Aurora has a full-time position. There's 2 other municipalities with part-time positions dedicated to accessibility, but otherwise accessibility sits with a different office or a different staff. So
And we've
it's-
had, not you, but we've had, starting with Ivy, correct?
So it's been quite a few years. We've had
Dedicated
4
people.
accessibility advisors.
Yeah.
Since Ivy started, which I want to say was 10 plus years ago.
Oh.
Just So yes, we had this dedication, and we will continue to be industry leaders in accessibility in our region, as we currently are. So that is my commitment.
Thank you.
Access Now, so I talked about that. We've been continuously working, so every Friday we've been going out, doing 3 to 5, depending on the size, playgrounds every single week.
Do we have this on our agenda?
These are all my updates.
Do I
As
have it
part of
on the, do I have it here though? Oh.
So we've completed to date 22 different large and medium parks around the town. Up to date, the team has been busy this month, so we will pick it up at the end of September into October. As long as the weather's good, we will be mapping. As long as it's not raining or snowing, we'll be out there. So we will continue to do that into as long as we can. And then as early as we can, we will start up again in 2026 to complete the rest.
Is it possible to put this on as part of our agenda so that we can just, for the record, which is always good, and just so we can follow along?
I can look at really the high levels and some of the bullet points to provide as part of this update.
Well, it's all being recorded, right?
Yes.
But it's good to verbal updates. I try and avoid verbal updates from staff because then it's not on the record and we haven't had a chance to look at it. Sometimes we'll come into a closed meeting. You need to know in advance, just not, it used to be verbal update, so. And also I think it'd be good for the record of our agendas now.
Well, if they-
Whatever you feel you can put on.
Yeah,
If
so-
there's anything sensitive in there, you won't want to, but
I mean, like you said, the meetings are recorded, and then we do have our meeting minutes, which will cover all of these items
They don't.
afterwards, but I understand.
it'll just say, Greg gave us an update, like it doesn't have any information.
We can, I mean, once we review the minutes, I can look at adding some additional things if required.
And it's also good for council to know. It's tough about education. Educating council on, so they can understand.
I can try my best to meet our timelines to put it
Okay,
in
or
writing.
even, it would be nice to have it, okay, sorry,
So Access Now, so again, we'll be completing, our trails are live on the website, which is good. We did those last year. They look great. So our playgrounds, like I said, we're currently working on it. Every playground will receive a report, an accessibility report. The comments are brutally honest. I'm not gonna lie. They either are accessible or they're not. In some cases, they will say it's not accessible for wheeled mobility aids, and so therefore it's deemed not accessible. But that doesn't mean we can't access it. Of course, it's an idea that says this is why we say it's not accessible. It's a big soccer field, and there's no paved path to get to the soccer field. And then, an individual would make their decision to say,
It's
can't
better
I
than-
utilize that?
It's better than somebody arriving somewhere and being disappointed. It's great to have the info.
And then all of the links will be linked on the town's website.
Good.
So we already done that for our facilities. So if they come to our town's website, we redirect to Access Now. So they'll see all the feedback, they'll see all of that commentary. And I also realized that the owner of Access Now actually came through Aurora once upon a time ago and commented well before this whole process even started. So we have her commentary on top of the official commentary afterwards on that. So that's that. Site plans, I commented, there's only been a lot of minor ones, houses and garages and extra builds and parking lots and a lot minor stuff, so nothing real major that came across my desk. The parking, we talked about it, so just a couple weeks ago, last week or the week before, we all met to talk about the town hall and the senior center parking lot. So it was just a kickoff meeting with the consultants. They will be taking all our feedback, so we will be looking at the lot to make it AOD accessible. We will be trying, there was a request to add 300 more spaces. We can't do that, so but they got the point that we need more parking space in town, and what does that look like? Can we remove some of the landscaping and or hardscaping to add more spaces, or do we need to add more landscaping and hardscaping for shade and mobility and other things? So these are kind of all part of that. Our senior center is involved in this project, as well as myself. So just wanted to highlight that. I mentioned the election, so next year is an election year. As part of that, there will be an accessibility plan created for the election. So I will be working with the clerk's office. Basically, we'll review what we did in the last election, and we'll review the election review, which was done independently by myself. And any lessons learned, we'll review that and implement that for this upcoming election to ensure that all our election sites are accessible. One big thing is we do have temporary barrier-free parking spaces. So we do put up those signage. We use them a lot in Ribfest in that nature parking lot, but we will be utilizing those throughout town. So any site that doesn't have suitable, the Armory was one good example.
Yeah.
They only have the one spot. We will look at putting additional spaces for some of those election spaces, if you will. So that is just one example, but I will be working next year with the Clerk's Department on that. Two other items. The evacuation chairs. So after our meeting, I was put it forward, and then a decision was made while I was out of the country, that the consultants that was looking at the fire plan reviewed all relative legislations along with the fire code and the building code, and the evacuation chairs will not be proceeding. Because it's not part of
It's not required?
It's not a legislative requirement. And so we will not have evacuation chairs at the town square and all the other buildings that don't have them. We still have one here at Town Hall on the second floor by the garage. There's stairs out that exit. And we still have one at the Aurora Family Leisure Complex, back stairs to go down. And I believe there might be one at the Stronach Complex by the pool hallway, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check that. But we will not be proceeding with the 18 chairs as discussed for the library, town square, and house. In saying that,
and fire has approved that.
so the Central York Fire said, if you want them, just tell us where they are, and we'll know that they're there.
But they don't require
They will bring their own chairs, they mentioned.
it. Okay.
So once they show up, should the individual not be an imminent threat and the fire not be where the individual is, then they will utilize the chair once basically the fire is out and it's safe to get the individual out of the building. That may not be right away. It might be once the priority is set.
So there could be smoke. Somebody would be sitting in the smoke.
So all the stairwells are, again, fire rated that
Okay,
we're talking,
okay.
right? So they meet fire plan, fire code and building code. So with the doors and the separate ventilation and everything else. So if there is smoke getting into these hallways and
Yeah, okay.
staircases, then
So
other problems.
well, yeah, the fire
The
doors
fire is
have to be
probably
fitting.
right outside, yes. So in that sense, individuals, as part of the
Okay.
fire plan, they will be left in those stairways. and fire department will be notified. And then when the fire department is able to, they will go to those individuals. That is the current process, but like I said, in saying that, I will be tabling this for our next multi-year accessibility plan and working with the department. Once again, to go above and beyond, it is a recommendation in our accessibility design standards. It's not a requirement in our design standards. It is something that is does go above and beyond. To me, it makes sense. But in our next iteration of the multi-year accessibility plan, which we will be working on next year, this committee will be involved with, I will be asking for as part of the budget process, I am requesting a consultant to come in, somebody that has worked in multiple municipalities that have done things above and beyond in other municipalities, and that can bring a fresh perspective into the work that we're already doing. But also, I already have a list of items that I would love to see in our next plan, things that we are going to be working on, could be working on, or I would like to see, involved in our organization. How does that look like? So TBD on the consultant side, as it is a request in the current budget process, but
But
we will be working on it next year.
if a consultant isn't approved, you have a lot of ideas to put into the next iteration of the plan.
So to you, Madam Chair, I have ideas, yes. The plan will not be as robust
Okay,
as I think I would like, being that it's also an election year next year. And I will also be heavily working with the clerk's team with elections and that process as we proceed through the
Okay.
year.
we can always
so
add to it though, because we review it
plan
every
will-
year.
Once the multi-year accessibility plan is created, ideally by the end of 2026, so we can commence in 2027, and that way there's no overlap or there's no delay between
Right.
multi-year accessibility plans. I would like the plan to go from 2027 to 2030, which then overlaps council terms. So every new term of council will have a new multi-year accessibility plan moving forward. This one just so happens to end in 2026, so at the end of the year, which is the last year of council.
Yeah.
But it started before the council term started, right?
Right.
So I'm going to start aligning in a 4-year term. So at the end of the term, we'll work on it. The last year of that council term, we'll work on it. The new term of council will start a new multi-year
Okay, I see
accessibility
what you
plan.
mean.
And then so early 2027, when council is brought in, whatever that's process is
They'll
called.
approve it.
Yeah, and that would be kind of one of the first items.
So there'll be a lot of awareness. It's a great
Correct.
idea.
Yeah, and then so the new council will approve the final plan.
Okay, so we're in September. So we only go till June. And in the election year, we will probably meet in September.
So from my understanding, this committee will continue.
Yes, but
Um,
until a new one.
what will it look like? I'm not sure, but as this committee is legislated,
Well, everybody who's on it
will
will
continue
continue,
through the year.
but yes, but if you want it for the new council,
So similar to
it'll still have to go to the old council.
our current multi-year accessibility plan, it started during the last term of council with, I guess technically 2 committees ago, as this is a new committee as of this year. So technically 2 committees ago, we started this. So what I did was I added the new committee members as part of the last multi-year accessibility plan, although it was created by
Okay.
2 committees ago, and the former councillors at the time, the current councillors and the current committee members are executing the plan. So I felt it fair that all names that are involved in the multi-year accessibility plan are recognized as part of that. very similar to this. So yes, this committee will be recognized and the council for this current term and the inputs that was provided. The plan starting in 2027 will be adopted by the new term of council. Of course, should they want any changes, if the council stays the same, then it just gets rolled over, the committee stays, there's so many factors and variables. But then we will have a new multi-year accessibility plan that we can work on moving forward.
I would like to speak, it may be their plan to get the sitting council to approve it so that it goes forward to the new council, because the new council, depending on who gets elected, there's so much to learn. Who knows where in that timeline?
So if this is done in-house by myself, I would, again, we talked about those departmental compliance plans, that all of those conversations with all our divisions and departments will basically need to start. And once those compliance plans are created, I'm able to see what their goals are for the upcoming 4 or 5 years. We can then put that into a new plan. I'm just not sure if that will be created in 6 months. So that is, I can definitely try, but we are also working on
Well,
getting
Stephen said in
elections started.
September and I'm sorry, that's right, you'll be part of the election.
Right, so it is, so again, if the consultant
But we-
is approved, that work, along with my input, we very well might be able to complete that by September, because at least they'll be working on it on their own time, and that's what we're bringing on. We probably can have something for September. But again, if it's done in-house, just looking ahead at what my 2026 is gonna look like,
Yeah,
it'll probably be the same, maybe a little less. We'll have some new initiatives, creative ideas, and that sort of thing. Maybe 1 or 2 items per standard, but there's only one person at the end of the day.
No, and yes, I get a better picture of your work. But you did say you have some ideas that you want to. So in the worst case, you've got some improvements to the plan we have. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And by the way, these minutes, they don't go to council like this. I don't
Yes,
think,
I believe they do.
do they?
Yeah, through the chair, I believe they're attached directly to the.
Yeah, so
Maybe it's because of this committee, because there was another committee and there were some important comments and they didn't go to council. Although you couldn't capture everything that we discussed.
No, but I get the written one, so it's all.
Yes, and I have them now in
yeah,
front
I
of
think
me.
that copy, and then so once Julia's done the minutes, I'll review them, and then.
And then
you'll
you'll
be able to
send
review
it to
them.
all of us, yeah, okay.
And then, yeah, once they're approved, I
Okay,
think.
because from other committees, they're very brief, I found. Okay.
I try, even when these ones are written, I typically will go in and we'll look to beef it up a little bit,
Okay.
with the comments, but, again, as Allison mentioned, earlier, that's all for my updates. So as Allison mentioned, I want to keep this committee apprised of all the work that I'm doing behind the scenes. Take your feedback and all of your ideas. Oh, there's one I totally missed. I mentioned earlier, treat accessibly. So as we approach October, we will also be, again, running Treat Accessibly and encouraging our community for accessible trick-or-treating upcoming at the end of October. So communications actually just emailed me this morning to say, are we still doing that? And yes, I would love to encourage our community again to accessible trick-or-treating. And we will also look at, I want to say it's October 17th, somewhere around there, for recognizing National Day of Disability Employment Month, which is also in October. Typically, Indeed lights up towns purple and blue. So I'm going to also look at to see what we can do. Last year, I think they went to the mayor and there was a proclamation done and that sort of thing. So they went directly to the mayor's office, but we'll see this year if they want to do anything and what they want to do, and just to not double up on work and that sort of thing. But I'd like to recognize that.
Can you send me a reminder on that? Because that should be fine, but we're getting close to the date, so let me confirm they're doing that.
You mentioned we're in September, or it'll be December before we know it, so. The year will
But it's all,
come very quick.
but trick or treating is the end of October.
Yes, we need to work on it.
So,
Otherwise.
Yeah.
We will be too late.
So the proclamation is for December, is
October.
October,
Second week of October.
yeah, so,
Second Thursday.
yeah.
So that'll be done first, and then
Could you just send me a reminder and I can check with the mayor's office?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
that's all right.
Okay. That was a lot. Is there any, we have to vote on this. Okay, all those in favor of receiving this for information? Thank you. Is there any new business?
Can I bring up something? I know it's getting late, but
You can,
okay.
but
I go to the town park for the concert in the park.
Yeah.
And I go from 5:30 and I arrive at 20 to 6 because I have to find parking.
Yeah.
A couple of things that really stuck out to me this year was right at the opening where people can go up into the park opposite the school. They had a thing built up to put electrical cords underneath. And it's very difficult for some people to do it. And I noticed a couple of people, like the security guards that were on, came out and helped me even one night.
Sorry,
Because I
where?
couldn't get my walker over top. Because when I'm going to something that's uneven, I have to take a walker with
Yeah.
me.
smart.
So then I go up the sidewalk and I want to leave my bag of food for the food bank. It's over at the stage. There is no sidewalk.
No, and if the
Over
grass
that.
could be tricky.
And it just bumps and shoves and it jams you and stops you. Then what I was watching one night when I was there was a man and lady got out of their car further on down past the handicap signs, but closer where the edge of the baseball was and everything. And they went across the street to the sidewalk across the street, came up behind me, and then crossed again where the school entrance thing was, because they'd had to walk on the road and cars were coming both ways.
I know.
And so then the other thing that happened that I noticed right away too was, but because they had that electrical cord and everything going, they'd taken down part of the fence inside the fence on the street, so that just where the places start, where they have their
So you're
tables.
talking that they put a gate across there.
Yeah, well, they put a gate.
Not a gate, a fence.
They put a fence.
Yeah.
And they took it down at one point, and so people started coming up. And what people do is they park on the south side of the ballpark. Then they walk around the corner and they try to come up. If they have trouble coming up the street, they go back over to this baseball fence and they walk up through the grass. And then when they get to the top, just where that fence is and everything, you have to go back out around the trucks park and the handicap parking. They have to go around to come back in the laneway. So it's not a smooth, like, why isn't there a path? There is no reason why there couldn't be a sidewalk or something right from the baseball park, and the people that got out of those handicap parking spots could go right down that path.
No, so they have to go on the road.
So they're going out onto the road, and then if they stay on the grass, any of them that don't even have, a handicap person with them, that if they're elderly or anything like that, they have to walk out again at the end and go around. And the thing is, it's just, a few things that sort of really stuck out to me, and it's such a wonderful, the concerts are such a wonderful thing for this town. They're really, really nice.
We won't be doing a sidewalk there.
Well, it's back at the fence, but I don't see the point, you can't do it.
So I will bring the ideas to Shelley, who's our special events
Yes.
supervisor. Some of those items, like you mentioned, are harder to do, but that doesn't mean we can't provide directional signage. The fence itself has, I think, 2 gates on the outfield fence that potentially could be opened to should somebody catch
Had it
themselves.
open 1 week and 2 weeks, and then they closed it again.
I mean, it depends on if there's a baseball game happening and that sort of thing. It depends on what's happening in the park.
Yeah.
But, you know, directional signage for people that are new to the event to not get caught in the infield. You know, the accessible area for food drop off, that's a relatively easy one to, you know, just put off to the side on the path of travel versus on the grass. That should be relatively easy to do. Unless it's,
I guess they're
I
okay
don't know
because the
who's
lights are on and they can be seen, you know.
yeah, and there's other, you know, other things, you know, and then, you know, traversing over, I mean, that's just the nature of where the power is versus where the electrical cables come from. If there's something that can be done, I'll make mention to
You can
highlight.
probably put it under the thing and leave it locked on either end or something on the other sides, on the side. And leave it underneath the pavement. You know,
That would
underground part.
require again.
Yeah, I know.
That would make
That's
sense.
more temp.
But it may, but that's what I think it.
But those power cables are, I think, the vendors' cables, not the town's, right?
Yeah,
So they would be bringing their own supplies at that point. I mean,
Well-
to run a conduit underground to feed that could be an option.
I remember it, if I remember correctly, I don't really, unless I'm forgetting something, I don't really remember that being there before, because I always go in the same way.
Yeah,
Okay,
again,
well,
I can
you'll
flag
check it
it.
out there.
I can flag it and I mentioned it to Shelley. See if anything can be done
Well, I
about
just
it.
thought that people that had to come out with a walker on the
No, no,
road,
you're-
and then somebody else that had to come out, they were older and they were walking very slowly, you know.
It makes, as we were saying, it makes sense. It would have been. Thank you. And Greg gets it completely what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
okay.
Are there any hands up there?
Thank you.
Do you have anything?
Not this time.
I have something. Apparently York Region Transit has some kind of service that you can, I'm not talking about their, whatever the handicap services. What is it? I mean, whatever it's called. There's another service that they offer. You can actually call in the morning and you can get picked up. Let's say you want to go to the senior center. You get picked up at your residence. Go to the senior center, you have to pay for it, but if, it's like a bus fare. And if you're there less than 2 hours, they will take you back for only 1 fare. And I heard it from Richard Wiseman, who's lives and breathes transit. So I'm on my committees. But it was at the concert in the park and there was too much going on. But it sounds like an incredible service for seniors, for people with canes, with walkers. I mean, we're not talking about wheelchairs, we're talking about, or other, you know, people always think of accessibility as mobility.
That's been around for a long time. I mean, you can phone and get to.
Well, there was the dial ride. Something called, really?
Yeah, so it's been around quite some time. And not only that, with the transit, if you want to take the bus both ways.
Yeah.
Within the 2 hours, it's only 1 fare. That's what she said. And it's always been like that.
Okay.
That's right.
Well,
It's not-
this was if you're over 65.
So York Region Transit, in our last meeting, I think we had I think it was July or June or July's meeting. We had a long discussion, like the vast service that York Region Transit has. It's amazing. They've come a long way.
Yeah.
Every possible option you can think of, they are doing, from teaching you how to take transit and
Right.
how to your own.
Safely, how to take
Right.
it safe.
And then they will walk through a whole transit route with you, to transferring when you cross regional borders to our regional municipality, or sorry, our regions,
Unbelievable.
Toronto, Durham, Simcoe, and Peel. So they will help you to transfer, and they will work on all of that. You just have to tell them where you want to go, and they will figure it out for you. So their services are amazing.
I work with the Voices of Joy every Monday night, and then when we do have trouble with them picking up some of our people, we meet for 7 o'clock and we tell them that we're finished at 8:15. Sometimes those buses have shown up at 8:30 and sometimes at 8:45.
Yeah, that's a thing.
And
That's the
that's
problem.
been a real problem because our people are challenged and they have to get, one of our fellows comes down from Keswick. And the thing is, he has to get back home and they leave him there for 3/4 of an hour before they pick him up again.
This isn't a bus though, this is.
So
they're
they're a small van.
A small van, it's not the yellow bus, I know there was a yellow bus, it's a small van,
It's
okay.
the vans, yeah.
I'm registered with CNIB and I get transportation free.
Yeah.
So that,
Yes.
so there's probably other disability cards you can get for that.
You can get, if you
That's
got
good.
cancer from the hospital, you can get a special one too, just for that.
That's
Yeah,
very good to know.
Yeah,
But this is something else, you have to be over 65.
I'm not sure.
I don't know about the age.
Yeah,
But there are a lot of people with mobility accessible issues that are over 65, but wouldn't qualify for special treatment in that sense that you're talking.
my best recommendation to
Call
anyone
Richard.
is, no, not Richard, but just contact YRT,
Yeah.
fine.
contact our region. They are constantly developing and
Okay.
increasing their services, and a
I was-
lot of their, stuffs now are a lot of education because of where they were and where they've come from. It is totally different. They leaps and bounds. They're so many new creative, full teams working on service upgrades and different service needs. There's lots of different reasons as to why one might be delayed or this and that, right? It's we're not just waiting for the phone call and
No.
traveling. They might be dropping somebody else off.
I'm
Traffic,
trying,
so-
trying it for now for a couple of years and we're not getting very far.
So,
That's
and,
really
again,
concerns us.
contact them. They always are looking for feedback.
Well, yes, thank you, and that would be a good thing for you to do, Joanne, because this
Oh,
is a
yeah.
regular.
You have. Oh, yes, because community living's involved too,
Oh,
things like this, so, we've had our executive contact the company and ask them why they're not coming to pick them up, because they dropped them off. And we said, well, pick them up by 8:15. And one day the fellow was delivered, he was supposed to be there at 7 and he delivered him at 6:20. And he was outside.
yeah, because all of these
Inside the
people
door.
have accessible issues.
They have accessible issues, and he staggered, he did this, they leave him on one side, and he staggered up the street and went to Tim Hortons way up the street from us, just to give himself, to kill some time there, because nobody was there to open the door.
Okay.
Awfully cold. It could be very cold, they're not very well done.
Not good
So we
news.
try to get there earlier now and open the door faster.
That's been going for a long time.
But he's been at that church for a long time, so.
This is a new market.
Well, I know,
Call Mayor Taylor.
what I do, don't worry, he's been called.
He's been called, because he's absolutely wonderful.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, their contact center is open till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 on weekends. There's a 1-800 number.
Please.
Do you want 1-866?
Yeah.
668?
Yeah.
3978.
Yeah.
And then again, I would just contact them, obviously during business hours, but otherwise the next day,
And
If it's
how
after
did you
hours?
got to that online?
yrt.ca.
Okay, thank you.
And
There's a lot of our people come from Aurora too, and they come from all over the place.
York Region deals with all transits.
Yeah, and you can even get on.
John's very involved because he had a niece involved in the plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, she passed away.
Good luck with Benjamin. Thank you for your work with that too. I think we can adjourn.
Oh, 2 minutes, so we're 1 minute late.
Or maybe two, depends.
No, you said 1 minute.
1
When we
minute.
started, you said it was 1 minute after 7.
Okay,
So we're only 1 minute late.
oh, that's, well, that's what it said on my computer. Okay, thank you, those on Zoom. Appreciate your attendance and everybody here. Okay, and of course you. Of course you. Big you, why, oh, you, exclamation. It's a hard work, it's very hard work and
And our recorder, she must be honored too.
well, we have a wonderful reporter, but she gets paid. Excuse me. Well, so does Greg, but I mean, you don't have the stress that he has in his job. Okay. We're done. Oh, we need a motion. We need a motion to adjourn. Who wants to? Joanne's going for that one. So thank you. All those in favor? You have, what do? Do you have anything to do for the scene Ivy? Because my friend just
Thanks, Elaine.
has been there and she got one of those great sticks, so she